I have a flow to this, and I have it set up like this for a reason. And the reason being is, one, because it sounds like very conversational. It's very natural just to like kind of go through this, and we'll obviously like dive into it. And that's really my goal, is to like not sound robotic, not sound like that this is just a script that I read off of 24/7. I want it to be very natural feeling and very conversational, just because that's like, if you were to talk to someone out in public, like you wouldn't have a script for it. You know, you would just strike up conversation, which is something I think salespeople don't do enough of. Just go talk to random people. So obviously, whenever you get on the call, are most of these people calling in and you're answering, or are you dialing out to them? Good mix? Okay, cool. So in the intro, just basically confirming their name. You know, you have their name. Again, I'm a big like thank you for reaching out guy. So if you're not doing that in your intro, I would strongly consider adding it, because it's not going to hurt anything. Like, you're not going to see your close ratio drop because you're thanking customers for reaching out, you know. I'm a big fan of thanking them, showing appreciation. And then also in this intro, just kind of like setting expectations of what the process is going to look like. So like in this case here, be like, obviously you would ask, you know, a question like, have you booked a move before, or something like that? Is this your first time hiring a mover? You know, those types of questions. It's going to get them talking. And then let's just say they're like, either they say yes or no. If they're like, no, I haven't booked a mover before, it's like, hey, cool, that's totally cool. I appreciate you being transparent with me. Hey, really quick, before we dive into this, I'm just gonna kind of set out the expectations for you so you understand how this is gonna go. And then if you have any questions throughout the way, like, you just stop me and ask, is that cool? Would that be fair? And if, again, like, we're kind of trained like this, but everything we say, we finish it with like, does that make sense? Would that be fair? Would that offend you? Because we know how 99% of people are going to answer that response. And so like, that's where it comes back to being like a master communicator. So like, if you say like, would that be fair? Who's going to be like, no, that's not fair. I don't want to do that. You know, basically nobody. 0.1% of people that you have probably talked to on the phone, you know? So it's like, is it cool if I take a minute and just kind of talk through the process? So that way you understand like what the expectations are going to be like, would that be fair, kind of thing? And they're going to be like, yeah, of course, go for it. And then you can literally just tell them how that phone call is going to go. Be like, so first I'm just going to collect some basic info from you. Obviously all the important stuff we need for the move. And then from there, I'm going to roll into all the inventory. What's inventory, you might ask? Basically, it's all the stuff in your home that we're actually going to be moving from this property to the new property, okay? We're going to go through that room by room. Don't worry, I'm going to hold your hand through that whole process. It's going to be very easy for you. And then be like, after we collect all the inventory, I'm just going to confirm a few things with you before we jump into the presentation. By the way, on this phone call, I will be providing you a quote. So like, while we're on this call, you'll kind of know what this is going to look like. That way you'll have all the information to make a decision about this move, blah, blah, blah. Confirm the basic info. I'll get into this, but really you're just trying to get some yeses out of this customer, get them in a state of agreeance, if you want to call it, get them agreeing with you on a bunch of stuff before you dive right into the numbers. And again, that's all just like a psychological play. Like, you're getting them in a state of saying yes to stuff, and then you're going to drop the proposal on them while like right after they're like, yes, 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 yes. Okay. And that's just called a yes ladder. We'll get into that. Present the pricing. Basically, however you guys break down your quote, if you want to tell them to the square centimeter like Tyler, that's totally cool. However you guys break down your presentation, that works for you, because we're not really going to get into like fine tuning how are you actually presenting the numbers, unless you want to individually. Then like, reach out to us and be like, hey, this is something I want to get better at. That's totally cool. We can dive into that. Present the pricing. Ask for the money. I think that's a really big area where this group can grow, is like, after we tell them what it's going to cost, instead of just leaving everything laying out on the table, like, let's ask to like actually take a deposit from this person. Okay, so ask for the money. When you do that, that's going to surface any objections that this person might have, because until you ask for money, like, they're cool with everything, right? And then when you ask, now they're like, oh wait, well, I got to talk to so and so, I got to check this date, I got to make sure this, like, that's where they start coming up with the bullshit. Okay, surface the objection and then rewrap and close. Basically just addressing whatever objection they bring to the table, getting through it, pushing through it like Maria said earlier, and then rewrapping them around to whatever their objection was, getting through it and closing the deal. So like, actually collecting a deposit. This is how I like to think of a framework or a process, because if you just had this information, like, you could get on a call with somebody and like go through the process and book a move. And I did that with a company where Literally, we had like 2 guys in a training that were on a truck. They were movers, but they just wanted to pull them out into the sales training portion just to see like, would these guys be good, you know, at sales or whatever. And I literally just took this information, I wrote it down on a board. They had no scripts, nothing, okay? Just their basic knowledge of moving and then this framework. And then we put them in a completely different room and we did like a live dial, and they killed it. Like, they literally just like checked these boxes as they were going through. And then obviously like the basic info, what is the basic info? Your name, phone number, email, the addresses that we're moving from. So like, you guys know what basic info you need to get from them. And then the inventory. We all know, or should know, how do we collect inventory properly? We go room by room, we guide the customer through that process, you know? Let's be professionals about it. Don't let the customer tell us, be like, well, I got a table, I got a dresser, a fridge, you know, like, they're gonna forget stuff. It happens all the time. That's why we're here to like guide them through this. But then literally guys that have never been on the phones before, never sold before, they just had these bullet points in front of them, and you would have thought that they would have been selling for years, just because they had a basic framework that they could follow. And this is how my brain works.